Hey there. Well, after a long hiatus, I've decided to open my Etsy shop back up because I have some interesting things I'd like to offer for sale. And the first couple of things I'm going to offer are two Boker Plus Tech tools, number twos, with custom Kirinite scales. This is Kirinite in the Patriot pattern. And if you're not familiar with Kirinite, it's a high-performance acrylic. It's a very popular material to make things like pistol grips and knife handles out of. It's very tough and durable. It's virtually indestructible. Think, football helmets and things like that. It's good to work with. It shapes very well. You can sand and polish it to a high luster. The only problem with Kirinite really is that it's not cheap. I buy it in these blanks, which are the appropriate width for making pocket knife scales out of. But unfortunately, there's just no way I can position the two scales on one blank and allow for cutting and have enough room to get two out of one blank. So I have to buy a pair of these for each knife, and a pair of these costs me a little over $13. So these knives are going to be a little more expensive because of the cost of the materials. But I think whoever buys one is going to get a lot for their money, because what they're going to get is, first of all, a brand new Boker Plus Tech Tool number 2, and not just any Boker Plus Tech Tool. They always have corkscrews. These have Phillips drivers, and typically when you buy a Boker from a Boker Plus Tech Tool from Boker, you have to go up to the Boker 5 to get the Phillips driver, and that's like a 4-layer knife, so it's really blocky. These are 2-layer knives and come with the Phillips driver, so that's very special. This Phillips driver is a Boker Plus Tech Tool part, and this knife was assembled by the Boker Plus Tech Tool people. This is a special factory order. I've not modified the mechanics or the guts of this knife at all, just put on the custom scales. And I think this is going to be a very unique thing. I've made two, as you can see. I've got enough Kirinite to make one more, and then I'm probably done, because frankly it just takes a lot of time. I don't think you'll see very many modders making custom scales for Boker Plus Tech Tools, because frankly it's just pretty complex and very time consuming. It's not quite like making scales for Victorinox. You know, there you've got to make sure you've cut them and shaped them to the proper size, and then on the back you have to dish out places to fit over the rivets, but then you just glue them on, clamp them on. And here you not only have to make sure that they're the right size, but you also have to make sure you precisely drill 3 holes in the perfect places to fit over 3 posts that protrude from the knife. So, you know, if you get one hole off just a little bit, it's not going to fit. Once you get your 3 holes lined up, your edges still have to be perfectly aligned. And bear in mind, this is not something you do on the knife. You know, you don't fit those edges on the knife like you do with a fixed blade knife. You can't do that with second-hand scales on a pocket knife. You can't grind it on the knife, or you'll fill the knife full of dust and gunk up the work. So all this has to be done off the knife and then brought back onto the knife and fit perfectly. And after doing 3 or 4 of these, I think I've come up with a process that allows me to get a very precise fit. So I'll just let you look at that. Look at the edges of the scales and how closely they align with the liners. The other thing that makes making custom scales for Boker Plus Tech Tools difficult is the clip. The clip is recessed, as you can see, into the material. So you not only have to make a indentation or cutout in the front of the scales that looks something like that, but you also have to make a cutout in the back that looks something like that to receive the plate that the clip screws into. And the depth of those cutouts has to be pretty precise. I mean, these parts have to be flush or the knife won't fit together properly. If they're too deep, you're going to weaken the material, and worst of all, you could meet in the middle and ruin the whole scale. So that makes it pretty difficult too. Also, the screws are countersunk. You'll see how they're countersunk here on the original scales. I've been able to countersink those too here. They're not completely countersunk, but they're not completely proud, much like they are on the original Boker Plus Tech Tools number 2. Now anyone that buys one of these knives is going to get the original scales. And they're very nice in their own right. They're black G10. They kind of have a cheek to them, a radius curve. And I'll go ahead and include, any of the little parts that I haven't used. Now, these are handmade, and so they're not going to be perfect, but I think they're pretty damn good. And if you want laser-guided robotic perfection, you can always put your G10 scales back on. But hey, really, who's going to do that? If you're not familiar with Boker Plus Tech Tools, they're really great knives, and they're worthy of custom work like this. Again, this is a Boker Plus Tech Tool number 2. It's a 2-layer knife. All the Boker Plus Tech Tools have a really nice, beefy, drop point hollow ground blade with a high polish. They come wickedly sharp. It's a little bit of an upgrade of a steel. They're made with the Swedish Sandvik 12C27 steel. And the walk and talk on these knives is just wonderful. One thing I like about this build is that the main blade gets a channel all to itself. It doesn't share the space with a combo tool or a small pin blade or anything that can cause it to rub the liner or rub against that other tool, so your main blade just doesn't get scuffed. Being a 2-layer knife, you also get a cap lifter, screwdriver, wire stripper. This is a very effective tool. All the tools on these knives are very effective. Here's an emergency blade. It opens at a angled or cocked position like that. It's intended to cut straps or cordage. That's why it has this very sharp, serrated, scalloped edge here. It also has a tip that can turn small flathead screws or small Phillips screws. And it works very effectively at that. If you're going to be doing that, I would recommend you use a pinch grip rather than a hammer grip, because this blade does not lock should it close on you. That way you won't cut a knuckle or something. In addition to that emergency blade, there's a little hideaway lanyard hole. Now these all come with a clip, and the clip's really great. It's stainless steel. It's got great tension. But if you didn't want to use the clip, or you just wanted to tie a lanyard to that or hang it off of something, you can use the lanyard hole for that. As I said, this is a special number 2 that it has a Phillips driver instead of the corkscrew. They work very well. Here you can see these knives have stainless steel liners, so they're strong and very smooth to the touch. All the Boker Plus Tech Tools come with a carbide tip glass breaker, which is also very effective. That's what I used in the intro. And they all have torque screw construction. And what I like about that is that you can swap your scales, you can adjust the tension of the tools, you could take the knife apart to clean it if you wish, you could center a blade if you needed to. That one's dead on. It's just a really good way to build a knife. By the way, I've seated all of those screws with blue thread locker, so they shouldn't come loose, but they are removable if you want to work with the knife. Use a number 7 Torx wrench. So it's not like red permanent thread locker. This is blue. And my knives come with the pocket clip, right side carry, either tip up or tip down, one or the other. I've built one of each here, as you can see. But they're not reversible. They are on run-of-the-mill factory Boker Plus Tech Tools, but what I don't like about that is the end you're not using has this big raw cutout and a separate screw just sitting there. I don't think it looks good, and so I eliminated that. I really don't think tip up or tip down matters so much in a slip joint pocket knife like this with nail nicks. It's not like it's a one-hand opener or flipper, so it really doesn't matter that much, but I just thought I would say that. And these do not come in your standard Boker Plus Tech Tool box. That's not the way I received them. I received them in these square plastic tubes in a plastic sack. So that's the way you'll receive one if you buy one from me. But again, you'll get the knife and the extra set of scales. So that's been a look at 2 custom-made Boker Plus Tech tools with Phillips drivers wearing Kirinite Patriot scales. Those are for sale on my Etsy shop. If you buy one, I think you get one of 3 in the world, and I think that's pretty special. Again, I'll let you have a quick look at that fit and finish. Right. If you're interested, please go there, take a look, see what you think of the price, and hey, as always, thanks for watching.